few minutes. Welcome to the Real Deal Podcast, baby. While we're here, while we're hanging out, just drop something in the chat. Say hello. Say hello. TikTok. We're live on TikTok. Everybody loves a good TikTok. Uh-oh. Why are you acting? We're just here, man. We're talking about red flags today. Drop your red flags. Drop your favorite red flag, actually. Um, the one that you like the most in a person. Jesus. What? Is your thing too bright? Is my what? The camera? It is gonna be a little bit too bright. That's why I turned that light down. That better? Yeah, that's better. There we go. There we go. Yeah, man. Hop in the chat. Say what's up. Tell me your favorite red flags. If you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, wherever you're at, say hello. Drop your favorite red flags in the chat. We're talking about some today, and we're gonna have a good time, man. Your favorite red flag. Just gonna post on pages that we're live. We need to get Twitter going too. And that page. Yeah, I've been getting lazy on Twitter. That's my bad. Well, I was thinking about just using my account. I mean, switching the name. I mean, you could, but I already have a page for it. Yeah, we can connect it all to this. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is,
we can connect it all.
Whatever it does, whatever
yeah,
helps.
usually, so we're live now, but usually we would already be recording the episode, but we're doing something different.
Yeah, man.
We're just
figuring some things out, man.
Hanging out for a second.
Just figuring it out, baby.
Yeah, hanging out for a second. Going to actually, I need this phone.
This is why I'm easy.
I need you to share this after I tag you. Do you have your phone available or no?
I think.
If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah, it'll just pause it, but it'll be fine.
All right, not yet. Not yet. I'm going to post this that we're live now.
Hey, that's why I'm easy like Sunday morning, baby. Easy like Sunday morning. I'm not easy like Sunday morning, but you heard the song. We got
yeah, so we're figuring some shit out. We added mics, so your TikTok, if you're on TikTok, it should sound better.
Hopefully the audio sounds just a little bit better.
We should be on Facebook. I can't see who's on what. I think if you comment, I can see.
Yeah.
I should be on my Facebook Live. We should be on YouTube. That's the first thing. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you should be able to comment and I should be able to see it. So if you're on one of those, comment. If not, I'm going to go into it and comment anyways. Did you muted both right there? You muted?
I did mute both there. It says tap to unmute, so they're both muted.
And you muted speaker as well?
Yep, muted the speaker.
Okay.
We're good, baby. We're
I don't think I'm live on.
On what?
Oh, I am live. Yeah. So it is live on Facebook too.
Yeah.
Automatically. So, yep. So it shows the same thing as.
I wonder if it goes automatically live on my page because, like, when you upload the things, it automatically goes.
No. I connected my page because it was already
Okay.
I'm not sure if we can connect both at the same time though.
I don't know.
Yours is just connected to the other one.
Yeah.
So I typed first, so I can see.
Yeah, I typed that. That was me.
Oh, you typed that. So I can't see if people. I can't see if people type it on here, to be honest.
What, the comments?
Yeah,
because you have to have the live studio open for that. So that's a different thing.
Open.
No, like for the YouTube open is what I'm saying. So that I do have that open, so I can see the comments here. But
all right, can we hear?
Yeah.
We sound decent.
We always sound decent, man. We have nice voices.
We're gonna start in a couple minutes. I don't know how you can see.
See what?
How many viewers you got? Can you see that on YouTube?
I can see it on TikTok. Yeah, I can see who's viewing. There's 2 people watching. One of them is me.
One of them is you. So 2 people. Don't tell our secrets.
It's okay. It's all right.
We join our own lives, so we inflate.
It helps the feedback, man.
We inflate the numbers. Share that to your story. Let me share that to the story.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah, I just tagged us on the page.
Okay. That's why I'm easy. Easy like Sunday morning. Oh.
All right. So we're live on multiple things now.
We're live on too many things right now.
Yeah, probably. I'm a little.
But it is what it is, man. It's just part of the game.
I'm a little overstimulated.
Oh gosh, you and words. Brandon's overstimulated, guys. It's too live for him. It's too live for him.
All right. TikTok.
Ooh. We got some viewers in there. What's up, guys?
Yeah, well, we already know what we're talking about, but what red flags do you want us to talk about in the future, or maybe today? Who cares? We might switch it up.
Drop your favorite red flags in the chat. Drop them in.
And what else was I about to do?
I don't know.
Other phone holder.
Brother, you have all the phone holders.
I do.
Those all belong to you. The white one?
Yeah.
Como tú te llamas?
Literally went from being cameras to live streaming, but
hey, baby, that's just how the game goes.
Yeah, I guess we'll eventually come back. They literally just have live streams.
Yeah, we'll just center it from here, and it'll go to all those places at once.
All right, so we might be able to get started here in a minute.
Yeah, man.
Probably right now, to be honest.
Probably right now, to be honest.
Oh, you know what you're talking about?
Huh?
You know what you wanted to talk about? There's so many cameras in front of me right now.
That's okay, man. Just
there's so many lives. There's usually so many cameras, but now there's like so many lives.
Yeah, same thing, man. It's the same thing. Nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed but today.
And then I got this little one. I'm hiding it.
Yeah.
There we go. We're good. All right, we're ready to get started.
Drop the flags in the chat. Yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
All right. Give it a little buffer, to be honest. 1, 2. We're right at, where is it? I'm gonna do it 7:45, just so you know where you can clip it or cut it. 7 minutes 45 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast with myself, Mr. Brandon Haley, and we got
Mr. Cleon Deal back for another week. Every day's a good day, man.
Every day above ground is a good day.
Yes, sir.
And today we are going to do the 4th installment of our Red Flag series, part 4. And we're going to talk about controlling. And before we do that, tomorrow's Easter.
Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody. Hope you guys spend it at church.
Amen.
And learning a little bit about what this week is all about, because I learned a lot about this week that I didn't know before. It was actually a full Holy Week, and that's what they call this week, and that it started on Palm Sunday because Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, and the people there used the palms, singing Hosanna, wanted him to save them, and then those same people ended up being the same people that kill him. You know what I'm saying? So, or that
there's a message in that.
Yeah, there's definitely a message in that. Those same people early in the week that was asking for him to save them were the same people that were voting for his execution just 5 days later. So,
need to get an organ sound on this.
Yeah, right? Take you guys to church. And I'm getting baptized at church tomorrow, so that's always exciting as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that. A lot's going on in the world, and I am not going to talk about it because you know what you guys do with tragedy. You take it and you make that shit political. And let me be the first to tell you that shit is annoying. So please stop doing that. What was it? There was a shooting at FSU, mass shooting by a white kid that act like a white supremacist. And because of that, everybody wants to make it political. The track meet incident where there's a kid that killed another kid, And of course, they want to make it political. Guys, you weren't there. You don't know the whole story. I mean, you know the whole shooting thing, but it's not. Anytime there's a tragedy, it's not a time to make it about Democrats or Republicans. You know what I'm saying? Like people are mourning. People just lost somebody in their life. Let them mourn. There's not a time to make a political gain out of it. If you want to make change, go run for some local office. Don't just post on your story. That's not going to do anything. Please. So please stop doing that. It's very pointless. All right. Anything you got that you want to talk about before we jump in?
No, I'm ready.
All right. I'm not prepared, like always. Um, I am prepared by being here physically and mentally. That's the only preparation that I have 90% of the time when I join these things or when we do these recordings. So we're going to talk about controlling. And so far, we talked about codependency, gaslighting, trust issues, and now part 4 is going to be controlling. Why is controlling a red flag?
Well, first, let's break down what it means, right? So controlling behavior, right? So controlling behavior constitutes as excessive jealousy, monitoring your whereabouts, controlling your spending or activities, and trying to isolate you from others. So the reason why this is a red flag is because it's somebody quite literally trying to control another person. They're trying to basically monitor every little thing you do. So I don't want you going out with your friends. I want to move you out of state away from your family where so I'm the only person that you have. I need you to call me or text me every 10 minutes so I know that you're okay and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all had some sort of experience with somebody that can be controlling, and you know what it is, so it's not something that you want to deal with. But the problem that I see that has probably happened with me and that has happened with other people is that it's usually a little too late into the relationship or into whatever's going on where that controlling starts to happen, and then you don't want to get out of it or you can't get out of it.
Right.
So do you have a story to where maybe there's been an incident with you and somebody that's controlling, or an incident where maybe you've been the controlling person, which I doubt that has ever happened because Cleon just do whatever you want. I'm gonna be here.
I had I had a young lady whom I was with. Because I'm always very respectful with how I describe these people. Situations will arise. Shout out to Usher. So this young lady whom I was with, she wanted to track locations.
The whole location
she wanted to do that. And so there was a point where, back in the day where my car had like blown out, and then I was with this girl, and then so I was using her car. And thankfully, that was very nice of her to allow me to do so.
And she wanted your location because you were doing that?
She thought, for whatever reason, she was talking about she had a dream that I had gone to see some other girl with her car.
You probably had, huh? Your dreams aren't always true, ladies. Your dreams aren't always true.
No, but I think she had some sort of location on
her
car,
like OnStar or some shit.
Yeah, something like that, because she had asked me like, "Oh, like I feel like you had gone somewhere in this area," which she was correct about the area that I was in, and I'm just like, "That's where the gym is. What are you talking about?" She's like, "I don't know. I just thought it just." I was like, "You don't even know your way around the city."
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, "How do you know where I went in this vehicle?"
Did she go on your phone and turn on your location services?
I have
share location with her.
I don't know. That's the thing. I to this day I have no idea how she knew that that's where I was.
Because it won't really tell you. Well, I mean, it can tell you in your text thread. But if someone's sharing their location with me and I pull up their name, I can see it.
Yeah.
But not vice versa. Like you wouldn't know unless I'm sharing my location with you too. That's happening.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's what it was.
You could have been sleeping, then they just share.
Maybe because she did do. She went through.
It fits the bill. It fits the bill for her.
Yeah, because she did go through my phone once and then get this other girl's address out of it, and then
Oh,
like wrote it down
yeah.
on a sticky. But that was, that was
That's
part me.
yeah.
That one.
That could be what happened. To be honest.
Yeah, it all everything's anything's
Mm-hmm.
possible. But yeah, she was wanted to be very involved in that and wanting to know
Mm-hmm.
exactly where I was at all the time. And then when we were selling insurance, she would just be calling me during the
Mm-hmm.
day, just randomly. And I'm like, I am sitting in an appointment right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking
Where are
it's
you? Where are you?
right. I'm thinking it's an emergency.
Yeah,
Clearly,
because
you're
you called her so
dying.
many times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're this exhibits obviously a level of controlling behavior because now I need to know where you're at all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter what you're doing, I need you to drop that and tend to me, because
Mm-hmm.
I had whatever thought or whatever feeling in my head that you were doing
That,
whatever, and I need, yeah,
that's a little codependency and a
yeah, it's
little
a
bit of controlling.
and a little bit of trust issues,
That's
it's,
yeah.
it's
That's a little.
a,
You start to check all the red flags, then you probably should start running
yeah,
or think about running.
it was a nice little mix.
So I feel like this red flag, like somebody who wants to be controlling, can actually be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is very important. I know when we interviewed Hillary a couple weeks back, Coach
Shout out
Hill.
to Hillary, she's amazing.
Yeah, she was dope. Um, she was talking about how she does background checks on these guys before a first date, which is super, super important, especially being a female, to get some sort of background information on a person that you're going to be sharing a space with. Reason being, and I'm sure, especially if you live in Tampa, you probably had some sort of encounter like this story that I'm about to tell you. This story has nothing to do with me, by the way. It has something to do with a lady that I know in a situation that she had went through. But I feel
Mhm.
like it's very fitting
Right.
to share for this, to make you aware of how insane the male species can be. All right.
Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
we can be super great nurturing,
Yeah.
whatever all the other things.
All that fun
Not
stuff.
nurturing, that's what females do. But provider, protector, we could be all them things too. But if you get with the wrong person who's manipulating and controlling, it could be a very bad situation. And if you don't believe me, just go on Netflix and watch all the documentaries.
Right.
Um, and that's all that I have to say. Just watch some of those documentaries. But give you the cliff notes of this story because I'm not going to say any names or anything like that. But let's just say there was a situation that arose. We'll just say male and female. A female was going through some personal things
Hmm.
and felt that it was, she needed some male company.
Okay.
And fast forward, it was supposed to be like a little weekend thing. The male was from out of town. And she was going through some personal things with like roommate as well as like breakup and stuff like that. So she
Hmm.
felt like it would be good to have a male there.
Right.
Lo and behold, the weekend passed, this guy still doesn't leave. He's like, all right, well, hey, okay, you gonna leave eventually? Hey, are you gonna leave
I'm
eventually?
sorry. Hold on. So wait, why did they move in again? Why did
They
he move?
didn't move in.
Wow.
They were together.
They were together.
They were just together. Let's
And he
call
was
it.
like
Let's just
spending the night.
right. So let's
Okay.
call it together for a weekend because as a female, you're going through some personal things,
Correct. Okay.
breakup, some roommate issues,
Right.
yada yada yada. So
I'm with you.
female, you guys know you have your little issues, and then you need male presence at some point in your life, right? Let's just call it that. That happens, and then basically, just doesn't leave, right? And yeah,
Okay.
you're telling me. I
Okay.
heard this story. I said, "Yo, go grab the gun."
Mm.
So that's why you should keep a gun too. Um, and then she's just like, all right, like, you don't even live in this city. You could go home. And no,
Right.
no, no, I'm not going to go home. And then it came to a point where obviously as a male, I don't care what any female is going to say, like every male is going to be stronger than you physically.
Hmm.
And especially if you're a smaller, dainty female, then like you really have no choice. So he basically just moved in. And then then at that point started to take control over everything that she was doing. So no leaving with the house without me, no on your phone without me
Oh
next to
yeah.
you.
No, that's
A whole
crazy.
yeah, that this is an extreme case, but it can start off as innocent as just hanging out with somebody. Just I want you guys to understand how fast things can change when you don't know who you're dealing with. So this went on for about a month.
A month.
A month.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
And then long story short, eventually, you know, she was able to get away by going out and walking the dogs, and then the neighbor was there, and then she quickly called her mom, tried to tell her the whole situation. Mom called the cops, yada yada yada. Then they like removed the person. There technically wasn't a crime committed because it was just controlling. There was no
Right.
physical
Mm-hmm.
abuse, just more like a mental kind of abuse thing, which is not illegal. But come to find out, this guy has had an arrest warrant in another city. So in that he had been arrested like a year prior, and he was waiting to go on trial for domestic violence, strangulation, battery, and apparently his ex-girlfriend like has a restraining order against him and stuff like that. So I tell you this story to let you know, one, how fast an innocent weekend can turn into a potential life-threatening situation because you couldn't see red flags, or because you don't know who you're allowing into your personal space.
This is
And
crazy.
I think you're telling me, right? You're telling me.
So this was like
this
a
is
fling
like
that turned into this.
Yeah, let's call it that.
Okay.
Yeah, let's call it a weekend fling.
Okay.
And that's what it turns into. So know that anything that you're or anybody that you're inviting into your space, be very aware that something could happen. And it could be too late before you realize, oh, hey, this person is super controlling and a little bit psychotic. Let me get away.
Right.
Be very aware. That's why I bring up the thing when Hillary's like, yeah, do a background check on everybody. Because had you had known that this person had just been arrested a year prior,
yeah,
and it's a case that's still open, it's not like it was dropped.
Yeah.
Like I had a situation like that. I told you guys already, right? That my arrest was for domestic violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already went over that story. Cases dropped, no charges. This is still like it was a still open case, and the arrest was a year ago, which means that it's not getting dropped.
Right.
Mine was dropped within like 4 months.
Right.
If you were able to do a little bit of research on this person, you would have been able to see that.
Interesting.
And, you know, thank God for God, right? Because that went from a potential or very innocent situations to a very life-threatening situation in a matter of weeks.
Yeah.
So just be very aware of
Google them,
especially Google,
search them on Facebook.
Get some background information on the person before you decide to try and get too close to them. Obviously, there's some situations that are just really unavoidable, and there's more to the story. It's not my story to tell. So I'm just giving you guys a brief description of the story to let you know how fast something can go from innocent to life-threatening. Just like if you watch the Gabby Petito documentary as well, little things like that, you have to be super, super aware. And that was somebody that she thought she loved. And we'll talk more on stuff. I think we're talking about domestic violence next week too. So we'll actually talk more about that story next week as well. Okay. Well, you had a question?
No, I didn't know we were talking about domestic violence next week.
It's on the calendar.
Okay. Oh, is it?
I remember putting the Gabby Petito documentary because I definitely wanted to talk about that. Probably talk a little bit about Jonathan Majors' story and situation as well. Because there's stuff that really happens and there's stuff that doesn't happen. And Gabby Petito is a situation of stuff that really happened, and then the Jonathan Majors is something that was like not really
questionable,
as big of a deal, made a huge deal. So, but that's a topic for next week.
Yeah.
But just and I want to give you tips to be like, how do you know someone's controlling that early on? You don't. You really don't. So the best advice I could give you, especially women, number one, have a gun. Have a weapon, know how to use that weapon in case a situation like that ever did happen. And then it's like, all right, cool. You got a body. Now you can get a little teardrop tattoo.
That's insane.
It's your life or theirs.
Oh, Jesus. All right, so let's run through a few examples, right, of controlling behavior because maybe this can help somebody identify the signs early on, right?
I think it's yeah.
Yeah, right. So, one of the things that this talks about is obviously restricting movement and freedom of action. So, like you were talking about, I don't want you going anywhere without me. I need to know exactly where it is, what time, and blah 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 blah. But
hmm
also, basically trying to restrict you from who you're hanging out with or hanging out with them in general.
Yeah, I think if at any point in the relationship when this behavior starts to arise, it is an immediate red flag
Immediate.
and you should get out. Even if even and this is when it gets harder when you've been in the relationship for multiple months, multiple years, then that's when it gets harder to really jump out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely early on, if it's anything in the talking stages and you want to go out, you have a trip plan, a
Mm-hmm.
work trip.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of examples going out,
Right.
hanging out with certain people, especially early on in the talking stages. That person has literally no right over anything in your life.
Zero.
Now, the only way that that would make sense is down the road. If you do have a friend that is a bad influence and she's a bad influence on you, then yeah, maybe. But early on in those talking
What's
stages,
what's a bad influence as a friend? Let's talk. Let's unpack that a little bit.
I
Like,
mean,
what's a bad influence as a like?
the
What would
girls
you
that you
consider?
see out all the time,
Mm-hmm.
the girls that you see out all the time. So that's what it is. Um, that in my opinion is I.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also in a different mindset now. You see me 3 years ago, that wouldn't have been that big of a deal for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the girls that are constantly out and about, and if my girl's hanging out with them, she's not gonna be my girl for very long.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm not gonna control her either.
Right.
At the end of the day, they have you have a life, they have a life. They're gonna make their own decisions. You're gonna make your own decisions.
Right.
You shouldn't control them or force them to be anything that you want them. Like you shouldn't make them conform to be what you want them to be. Essentially,
Right. So what? So is there a conversation that you have with that partner if you see that obviously they have a friend who is consistently doing those things? Do you have a conversation about something like obviously, like you said, we're not going to try and control them,
hmm
but is there something that you say? Because I maybe let's say before when you guys met, maybe she is going out with her friend as often as her going out friend is going out. Is there a conversation that you have once you guys get together? Or what do you do regarding that? Or is that something that you just avoid from the
nah,
beginning?
it's. I mean, it's really up to you. I mean, from a guy's perspective, and that's what a guy's looking at now, it's really up to him. And then if they're still going out at the same frequency
Hmm.
as they were, then yeah, I mean, maybe it's a red flag. But if they you shouldn't have to have the conversation. They should want to intentionally slow it down.
Hmm.
They're still going to do it, but
Right.
they should want to intentionally slow it down. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that's a
hmm
fair point, right? It's like if there's certain things that you're doing, um,
hmm
and once you get into a relationship, obviously oh, I'm in a relationship, maybe I shouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like that sort of thought process. So ideally, your partner has that, right? But if not, and they still want to live that same lifestyle as they did beforehand, then maybe
At the end of the day, you shouldn't be the person trying to control anybody.
right?
If they're going to make those decisions and continuously make those decisions, you
Hmm.
can let it know that it bothers you.
Right.
And then if they still make it, then that's on them. Sure.
Right.
And then you come to a crossroads like, hey, do I still want to be in this relationship or are we better off as friends? And you have to make that decision
Right.
for yourself.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
Okay.
I got a question as well from Daryl. Do you guys think when boundaries are being set in the relationship, can that be mistaken as controlling? What's your thoughts? I think absolutely not, but go ahead.
I think that he's saying can it be mistaken? I think it can be, depending on
hmm
how you set those
Here,
boundaries.
can you see it? I'll put it on stream
Yeah,
again.
yeah. So yeah, I can see it here.
Okay.
So I think that how you set boundaries is important, right? It all boils down to the same thing we talk about every single week: communication.
hmm
Because if you're trying to set a boundary by saying you can't do this and you can't do that, is going to be taken as controlling. Whereas
that's
if
not a boundary though.
I mean,
Well,
it kind of is, right? It's
yeah.
about how you say it. Because if your boundary is like, I don't like the way you talk to me when you get angry, but instead of that, you say, yo, you need to calm down, you need to shut up, or blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Depending on
Mhm.
how you relay that message, uh, there's a line between setting a boundary and being controlling, depending on, I think, on how you communicate that to them. That's what I think. It depends on that portion of it,
So I think when it comes to controlling, you're trying to change somebody's behavior.
right?
When it comes to setting a boundary, you're trying to stop that behavior from affecting your life.
But in both cases, you're trying to curb the behavior.
Yeah, but you're trying to remove yourself from this in a boundary. You're trying to remove yourself from a situation in that. So let's say like a boundary that is close to controlling. Let me think of one.
Mm-hmm. We talk about the going out thing.
Yeah, but I'm not going to set a boundary on the relationship because that is controlling.
Mm-hmm.
You can't set a boundary, but hey, one of my boundaries is that I get really insecure that you like to go out and party with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not a boundary. That is controlling.
So, but
A
if in,
boundary would be like, hey, I work these days. I can't see you these days. This is the only day I can see you. So we got to make it work on this day. Or I don't think that we should see each other this many times a week. Or we shouldn't have sex. Or
so a boundary isn't, hey, I think that
here's how we
maybe
fight.
we could possibly cut down on how much we go out,
As a collective group, yes.
but not for them individually.
Not for them individually,
So
because
it's
then that's controlling. But yeah, you as a collective, yes, that would be a boundary. Hey, I want us to drink less. I want us to attempt to drink less. We're going out too much. I
Mhm.
want us to set this boundary of drinking once a week. Yeah, that is a boundary together because you're doing it together. You're not
right.
trying to control them. You're trying to make your relationship better.
So your difference between boundaries and controlling, just so
Is
I'm
whether it's
understanding,
together
correct?
or
Whether
separate.
it's you
Yeah.
telling them what they need to be doing versus you telling them what you would like to do as a unit to basically help further the relationship.
Yeah, essentially.
Interesting.
Controlling it, like what somebody does in their own life is their decisions. That's why God gave us free will.
Right.
That's all on them. What you do in your life is all on you. You can't set a boundary on someone else's life that doesn't affect you.
But it
Like
does affect you when you're in the relationship.
how?
If they're doing that, right? If they're doing something that makes you uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
that
Why
affects
does
you.
that make you uncomfortable?
I don't know. Maybe you just feel
So
like that's not something they should be doing.
you gotta figure out, but why shouldn't they be doing it?
So why shouldn't your girl be going out every night of the week if you're in a relationship?
Why shouldn't she?
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be in a relationship with a girl that goes out every night.
No, come back to it.
Hold
you don't get to give me
Oh,
circular
hey.
answers on this.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No,
Why
why?
you in a relationship with that girl?
Look,
You got into, let's say, since we're on the topic
Yeah,
of
yeah.
partying and going out,
Yeah.
you sought after, and I know because I've done this.
Mhm.
You sought after the girl who likes to party.
So let's say you didn't know that though. Let's say
How
you
would
weren't.
you not know? Where'd you
Let's
meet
say
her?
you weren't aware. I don't know. Maybe you met her at Publix.
So you're gonna find that out in the talking stage, and then you decide to
Mhm.
continue to talk to her because you're
Mhm.
gonna find that out if she's a partier. She's a partier. She's going to continuously go out and go out and go out.
So what if you guys get into the relationship and then she starts going out more? Then what do you do?
Then you leave. You're not going to control her because it's the same thing that I always say. Like you can't stop somebody from cheating. No matter how much you like, let me look through your phone. Let me get your location. Let me do this and this. Cheaters are going to find a way to cheat.
Right.
That's just what they do.
But do you not even feel like that's worth a conversation to have?
If they start going out a lot,
If
yeah,
they
of
did,
course.
right?
But you can't control it.
Right.
Even if they agree and they still do it, then what? Now
Right.
you just
I
hurting
agree. You
yourself
can't
at that
control
point. Yeah.
anything, but we're talking about setting a boundary versus being controlling, which both of these require some sort of conversation. So that's what I'm
having
asking.
a conversation, and you should be having a tough conversation, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation where if somebody starts to go out more after you've been together, then it's a simple conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this anymore? What do you get? Do you find pleasure in it? Do you find joy in it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of doing it?
Right.
Oh, you like to get drunk? Okay. Do you not like to get drunk at the house?
Mhm.
No. Okay. What's the difference between here and here?
Right.
And just have that kind of conversation with them.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. I understand. And then if they want to invite you, they can invite you.
Right.
Like I was, and then I was in another relationship too that was like that.
Mhm.
To where when I stopped drinking, and she would want to go out, not very often, but
Right.
occasionally, and then she want me to go.
Mhm.
And I was at a point in time in my life to where it was still a little bit it wasn't as comfortable as I am now, to
Right.
where I can go out and literally be anywhere and not drink.
Mhm.
So it was like in that earlier stage of when I stopped drinking. So where it's a little bit more difficult, a
So
little
it's
bit
like if
more
it's around you, you're
comfortable.
gonna want to do it,
No,
sort
it's
of
just
thing.
more like socially awkward, social
Oh yeah.
anxiety
Oh
kind
yeah.
of thing. Not that I would have the urge to want to do it. It'd just be like I just didn't want to.
You didn't know how to have fun sober yet.
Yeah, well, I didn't
Mm.
want to entertain people sober. Drunk. I didn't want to entertain drunk people sober because I do that already.
I do that at work.
I do that. I do that as a career right now. So it would just be like I already have to do that for work. So it felt like
Mhm.
work to me. So I wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
That makes sense. And
Mhm.
yeah. What other questions? What else you got?
So yeah, so going so a few more examples of this that they talk about. What about trying to so it's I'm sorry, exemplifies a part of being controlling as trying to control what somebody wears. Now that's a big topic among
That is good too. I've been there. I've been there.
you tried to control what they wear?
No,
Uh-huh.
I suggested, and so yeah, I had
Strongly suggested
the
or
ex that was the social media couple. Everything looked great. I ended up getting locked up at the end of that one, but there were situations. Everything she wear was very minimal.
minimal?
Very minimal. And here's the thing, fellas, if they're doing it before you get into a relationship
Right.
with you,
Right.
you have to expect that they're going to continually do it. You're not going to be like literally Jesus walks into Jerusalem and they praise him on one day, then they kill him the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like you thought they're going to praise him this entire time. No, they're not going to. All right. They're still the same imbeciles and wanted this all high power, mighty God to save
Right.
them from the Roman Empire. All
Mhm.
right. And they got somebody who was caring and loving. They're like, no, this is not what we want. All right. They wanted what they wanted.
Right.
You get into a relationship with a female, she wants what she wants. If she wants to wear that,
Mhm.
just you taking the title of her boyfriend is not going to change the fact that she wants to show off her body.
Right. Okay.
So in that situation, you have to be willing
Yeah.
to go with it. The only time I had a problem with it
Uh-huh.
was if it was a little bit too see-through, or if it was something that was
Now it's showing her extremities a little
real
bit.
Easy to move while she's dancing. That's the only time I ever had
Yeah.
an issue with it.
Uh-huh.
Which I have literally full right to be like, hey, like I've seen 2 knit slips while I'm out here in the club. Third one, I'm gonna get really mad. And we're leaving. You know what I'm saying? That's the only time. People show you who they are before you get into a relationship with them. Don't think that you dating them or you being or talking to them is going to change that. You're not there to
Right.
change the individual. The individual is there that the person that you're talking there is going to show you all your weaknesses, your job, and they have weaknesses too. So your relationship is going to show them their weaknesses. Your job isn't to change those.
Mhm.
It's literally to make them aware of them. And if they
Right.
want to do the growth and they want to do the inner work, then they're going to do it. But your job is not there to change or control them. If you think that's what your job is there to do, I have a newsflash for you. You're going to be not having very great relationships. You know what I'm saying? This isn't the 1980s anymore, where guys were super, super masculine and they would just tell their wives exactly what to do, and that was it. That's not how life works anymore.
We'll call it masculine. We'll say that's what it
Well,
was.
when did women get the right to vote? You know what I'm saying? Women got the right to vote not that long ago.
1923.
Maybe no, I think it was after that.
Was it? Or maybe
It
so
had to
what
be.
happened? Or was
You're
that the right
talking
to
about
work?
like 1923.
Maybe that was the right to work. And then
Maybe,
I'm
yeah, but
mixing
the
that
right
up.
to vote, I think, was a lot, like maybe within the last 50 years.
Yeah,
What
hold on.
year?
This was in the world, the 19th Amendment.
I don't know. I'm just making up things.
You're just saying stuff, man. Why is this not telling me?
Mhm.
When did women get the right to vote? Yeah, I think I'm right, actually.
Is it 1923?
I think it was in.
All right, so 102 years.
Yeah, which is still fairly new.
Right.
Yeah, so because obviously there was a time where women weren't even really legally allowed to have autonomy, so they couldn't open their own bank accounts. They
literally
didn't have the right to vote. So this idea of what the traditional household looks like now is because of the fact that women literally they weren't allowed to go and do those things.
Yeah. So it's definitely different. And that was a controlling.
Yeah,
that's how it was. Like the guys in control of everything at that time. That's not how life is lived nowadays.
Right.
So you can't expect to live that way because that's not how it works nowadays, fellas.
Yeah, it's simply not how it works. Obviously, a good point that you mentioned is that you should know who you're getting into a relationship with. So, trying to control somebody from doing things that they have been doing it's going to be a tough sell. It's going to be a very tough thing. And for you to be mad about them doing the thing that you met them doing, it's a little bit tough. Now, granted, people can change behavior and people can decide to better themselves, but they have to decide to better themselves. That's them, between them and them. You don't get to make that decision for them.
Yeah, you have to be there and support that.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't be there and control. The more you try to grasp and control another human being's behavior, the more they're going to pull away from you.
Right.
So if you really care about this person and you want to be with them in the long run, the more you try and control them, the more they're going to go away from you anyways.
Yeah.
It's like when you have two of the same side of a magnet, what happens when you try and put them together? You can't do it. They stay away from each other. Same kind of concept. When it comes to that negative controlling energy, you're just going to keep pushing and pushing that person away. And then they're like, once maybe they liked you and now they're like, they despise you because of how controlling you are.
Exactly.
So ladies' tips would be do your due diligence and do your background.
Due diligence.
Google search this person, put them in AI. There's so many AI tools. Like, who the heck is this person? Give them all the information you have on them, have them pull up everything. And you can find out a lot of people. Like, AI is a powerful tool. Use that to protect yourself. There's just so many crazy stories, especially with guys who are super controlling and doing the worst to women. So you have to protect yourself by doing your research on these people that you're spending time with. Obviously, if you're going out on a date and it's in a public setting, you don't have to, I'm not trying to freak you out. Like, you're in a public setting, you'll be all right. But just see the flags, see how they start to go. If they try to make anything in your life different and more difficult, understand that is a controlling behavior. And if they're doing something, if they're starting to do it early on in the talking stages of the relationship, and it affects your life negatively, just imagine what they're going to do when you're actually in a real relationship with them. It's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse because a guy at the beginning stages, in the beginning talking stages, he's going to show you his best version, the best version of himself.
Yeah, it's like starting a job. You're on your best behavior.
You're on your best behavior. 5 years in, you're like, I'll show up late if I want to. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just another week. But yeah, just understand that the guys are going to show you their best behavior right at the beginning. So if it's early on within a couple weeks and they start to exhibit some sort of controlling behavior, like, hey, you do this a lot. Why? I don't want you to do that anymore. Little things like that. That save your life, save yourself, get out of there as fast as possible. Another question: what your women wears can reflection? Okay,
can
reflection
be a reflection.
Reflection of how she respects you. Do you agree? Yes and no. Yes, because your girl should be wearing something that's more respectful and appropriate for the situation that you're in. If it's Easter Sunday, it should be a different outfit than if you're at the beach. You know what I'm saying?
Shouldn't be the same one. Hopefully.
Shouldn't be the same one, hopefully. Yeah. But again, this goes to, if you see a girl that's what she posts on her social media and that's what she wears in real life, and then you decide to date her, you cannot expect her to change for you. She's not just going to change how she dresses for you because that's what she's wearing. And typically girls will wear that to get validation. That's it. In my opinion, that's why most of them will wear it, is to get extra self-validation or to show off their body because they work out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Only two reasons. They are a little bit insecure and they need some validation from external forces, or because they work so hard on their body and they just want to show it off.
Right.
I was the same way. I used to have my shirt off all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's more of like, I'm old. I don't want to be the old guy with a shirt off every day, posting it on my story. I will take it off. I don't have any issues taking it off, but I'm not going to be overbearing and put it all over my social media every single day. I'm not posting thirst traps every single day. Leave that. That's what women do. If that answers your question. But yeah, I yes and no. That's why it's so important to like do your background on these people. Like, you see how they're going to act. Don't expect that behavior to change once you get into a relationship and start catching feelings with them, because it's not going to. You can't control them. They can't control you.
Right.
Unless you're a super lover boy like me, they can kind of control you.
Soft. Now, this is. I think this is an interesting question, but I do think it goes back to kind of habits, right? Like you said, if you're meeting somebody who's consistently doing a thing, that's their normal, right?
Yep.
That's what their normal is. So them still doing it while with you is not necessarily, like, I can see why people would think it's disrespectful to you. But at the same time, that's just what they do. So it's like, to them, that's how they operate in their daily life. So they don't think it's disrespectful towards you because that's how they've been operating. So it does take a little bit for them to be able to see that, oh, maybe, maybe this doesn't look the best when I'm there with them. But at the same time, it is up to you to notice that this is how she dresses. You know what I'm saying? And so
it's conversation.
Yeah, it's just a simple conversation on that.
But don't expect to change them with the conversation. You can continuously have the conversation in a respectful manner and just be like, I don't enjoy that. That's what you wear, but
yeah, like, you look great. However, I would prefer if,
I would prefer you don't.
Maybe the thigh should be a little more, maybe the slit could be a little bit lower in the dress. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's make a compromise. Maybe that's what it is. Like, cool, but like, could we just moderate it just a little bit for me? You know what I'm saying? I get cleavage out, but not all of it. We don't need 8 inches of cleavage. Let's cut it down to 3.5. Let's work on that.
Steps.
Just simple conversations like that. Maybe not. It may or may not work, but at the end of the day, you did get into a relationship with that person beforehand. So you do have to make sure that you guys are on the same page of what that's going to look like for you. Now, I want to ask about this. A lot of a big talk about control, especially with men and women, is financially. So the fear, and I think that maybe is part of the thing that kind of created this whole boss babe culture, is that when men now, well, in the past, have been financially responsible for everybody, they then get to tell the wife what to do all the time. And then if they don't do what they want to do, then they don't get whatever, or he's going to withhold financially, and he's in control of that. And I think that's a method, well, that women do talk about, is because of the fact that obviously he pays everything, and so I'm not allowed to go and do this and this, because if I do, then it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's that would be deeper on into the relationship.
Yeah, of course, deep.
But at the end of the day, it's not technically both of y'all's until y'all married anyway. So
the income?
Are we talking? Yeah, where at in the relationship? Are we talking like just dating, talking?
Let's say we have gotten to the point of marriage, and you've been working up to this point, but now I got it. You can be a stay-at-home wife because I can take care of everything now. And then soon as that happens, now he tripping.
Well, yeah, I'm just going to say at that point, you should already realize if he had these kind of tendencies that you should already got out.
So where
somebody's going to reveal it. You got to give it time for somebody to really reveal themselves before you agree to marry them, or as a guy, ask them to marry them. Ask the woman to marry you. You got to give it some time to really understand and see how this person acts in a lot of different situations. So wait multiple years, not like 10 years, but wait like 3 years with the person before you decide, hey, now if you get into one very early on and like within the first year and they are the super breadwinner, they're going to have a lot of control over your life. Because what are you're going to leave this lavish lifestyle and go and do whatever you're doing before, you have to understand that
Right.
they at that point in time, yes,
Yeah.
in that situation, they will have hella control over your life because
Hella.
you allowed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You allowed yourself to get into that situation. Why? Because you like the person. It happened really, really fast, and they have a lot of money.
Yeah. And it creates a tough situation for a few different reasons, but the main thing is that if this ends, it creates a difficulty of you getting back out into like the workforce and
Mm-hmm.
having to be able to provide for yourself at that point. Because
Mm-hmm.
let's say you've been married for the last 5 years and he's been in financial control of you, and then suddenly you're not together anymore.
Right.
Now you have to go explain this 5 year gap in your resume.
I tell you one thing. Yeah, one thing I heard a lot when we were selling life insurance, because I was always intrigued about people's relationships. What happened? How long were they together? If they
Mm-hmm.
had been divorced, why did they get divorced? And one of the most reoccurring things that I heard from women was that they always told me that they wish they had never quit their job. So if you're getting into a relationship with a guy and he's like, you don't have to work, keep working. The only reason
Keep
you should
working.
stop working is to raise a kid.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not having to raise a kid or a child at the time, there's no reason that you should stop working. Because I can't tell you, I've heard that story maybe at least 10 times
Right.
from women that were out of relationships. And that was one of the main things that they always kept saying, is that they wish they, even though the husband was the breadwinner and took care of
Mm-hmm.
all the bills and took care of everything, they wish that they would have never stopped working,
Mm-hmm.
because once they got out of that, it was so much harder to get back into it.
Right.
So don't, ladies, if you are in this situation, which I'm not sure how many are like actually married and having this
Right.
conversation and not raising kids, keep working. Do not let the guy be like, oh no, baby, I got it. Let me take care of everything. No,
Well,
we
yeah.
don't live in that, because at that point in time he has so much control over you. What if he decides to leave you?
What if he
And now
cheats?
what if he cheats? Now you're so
Dependent.
afraid, yeah, and dependent on his income, that you're
Yeah.
afraid of losing that portion of the relationship as well. So definitely don't quit doing what you're doing because the guy tells you he'll take care of it. Let him take care of everything and then make that money, and then that's your money. Save it. Do whatever you need to
Mm-hmm.
do with it. Let him buy everything, pay for all the bills, whatever it may be. If that's how the relationship dynamics work. But do not quit doing what you're doing. There is no point to, unless you're raising kids. My 2 cents right there.
Yeah, I think it's a super tough situation because sometimes that is the dream that women want to
Yeah.
live out, is that. So it makes it a little bit difficult to say no to that because we're not thinking about years ahead. Because obviously, if you don't see the signs of it before, you're never going to think that he's going to turn into something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're comfortable in saying yes to that arrangement, but then every now and then sometimes that thing
Mm-hmm.
turns into a real problem
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, it definitely can. And if it's early on in those early stages of a relationship, you just gotta be aware. Be aware. And that's why I say I'm such a big proponent on not having sex early, is because you let that lustful judgment
Hmm.
cloud, and then you don't see any of the red flags, and then you just immediately in the honeymoon stage, and you're like, yeah, everything is so great.
Good
But
times.
if you were looking at it without all the emotions that's in your head, you would be like, no, this person is a loser. So it's
This
like
person's
that's why you have to work on building that emotional connection before you build that physical one, because you start to build that physical one, the red flags start looking like six flags, and everybody's having a good time.
Hmm.
So we're not.
Hmm.
So that's why I preach that, is because my barber, who used to be a pastor, been preaching that to me for years. And, I finally decided to take his advice, be like, all right,
Finally.
finally, and just been celibate for, I don't know, it's been a long time now.
Hmm.
I've done lost count, but go listen back to the episode. Maybe 8 months. Jesus Christ. What are we in?
Hmm.
We in April right now? Yeah.
We are in
Oh,
April.
yeah. Dang. Yeah. Maybe 8 months now,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is crazy and amazing at the same time. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to let the red flags be looking like green flags because I'm so locked into the physical aspect of the relationship. That's not what I'm going to do anymore.
Right. So what do you think about uh your significant other having friends of the opposite sex? Because that's a big thing people try to control while in relationships.
Oh, it's 100% fine.
100% fine. So
It also depends on what her profession is too.
what her profession is, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like the chick that I'm talking to what her profession is, but it is a male dominant profession.
Mm-hmm.
It is a male dominant profession, so she has a lot of male friends.
So what's the
That's where your insecurities come in.
well what's
If
the
you could take my girl,
timeline?
that's not my girl, that's yours.
Fair, fair. So what my question is this: what's the timeline on that? So like, if a girl tells you, yes, this is a very good friend of mine, how long ago should she have met him for you to feel comfortable? Is she okay? Can she have new male friends as
I
you guys are together? New male.
I don't even need to ask. It's the same thing. It's control.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so comfortable in my own skin and so
Right.
confident in my own self that hey, if you can take my woman, it is not my woman, it is just my turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be fully prepared at any moment in time. Just like I say it all the time, you can't stop somebody from cheating. If they want to cheat, they're going to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I did this before in college.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't like this person. You can't talk to him, unfollow him, yada yada yada. That's what they say, LDB, little, you know what I'm saying, little energy. That's all that is. So you have to be so secure, so confident in yourself to where like, bro, it's okay. Like it's okay. Like I can have female friends, she can have male friends. It's okay.
Have you had girls try to stop you from having friends of the opposite sex?
I can't remember if they had, man. I don't think so.
No.
Nah, I mean, I usually don't have too many girlfriends like that. I've had like maybe like one or two in my entire life, to where like I like would talk to them very consistently and not have emotional connection with them.
Wow.
I don't have too many. I got like one now. Shout out Madison. She was on the episode. That's my dog.
Yeah, shout out.
That's my dog now.
Yeah. Not doing reason why I asked, because I was in a when I was in a relationship some years ago, I have a still very good friend who she had just this vendetta against for years. And it came to a point where
she
she
just gotta heal, man.
I guess
something happened and she ain't never healed from
she came to me and said, either you can either stay friends with her, but we're not going to be together, or blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, I I'm not. I was like, to me at that point,
that's a tough situation to be
it
in.
wasn't.
No one wants to be in that
The
situation.
thing is, it
Oh,
wasn't tough to me, because like I get why it would be tough, but to me, I've always valued friendship over really anything else.
Yeah.
Like, and so I was like, okay, well, whatever you want to do is cool, but I'm not cutting people off because you have a problem with them when you have no reason to. I'm like, it would be one thing if they had issues with you. You know what she did? Let me tell you what she did. She went through my phone on my Snapchat and texted the girl and was calling her like out her name and stuff like that. And then
that's when you gotta run from that.
Yeah, I know, right? And so she's calling her out her name and arguing with her. She's trying to make it seem like it's me. Like she's trying to make her seem like it's me sending her messages. And obviously my friend, she knows, she was like, I know this isn't Cleon. I already know that. And so when it was brought to me, I'm talking to my girl at the time. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And then she was like, obviously my friend had some choice words for her in retaliation to this, because I'm like, why wouldn't she? And she was like, are you gonna let her talk to me like that?
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what? I said, you initiated this interaction, and now you're asking.
You can't control how someone talks to other people,
right? And I'm like, and you're asking me to defend you in this situation that you went out of your way to start. You went through my phone to text somebody off of my account to start problems with them, and then now you want me to defend you from what they said. Literally. I'm like, you're out of your mind. Get it.
And women can be out of their mind just like guys can, just like the story from earlier. You know what I'm saying? So, but to wrap things up, man, do your research on these people before you let them that close into your space, because at the end of the day, not everybody has your best interests in mind like you do. So, especially as a woman, you got to be very diligent with protecting yourself and your space. So, do recommend that you have a gun, keep it in the house. So, one of them situations ever happen like that, you can definitely protect yourself and be safe. So, another question before we get off here and do our final thoughts. Let me show that on the stream. So as a man who's been married, all right, or early on. Okay. So as a man who's been married for 10 years, having friends of the opposite sex has been a no-go. We agreed very early on, has kept a lot of drama out of our lives. Yeah, some people, you have, that's a boundary, that's a talk. If it works, it works.
Yeah.
There is, it depends on the, what do you need one for? You know what I'm saying? So it depends on your profession as well.
And that's why I asked
So-
about the timeline of it, because
Yeah.
I'm like, to me, if I had a friend for 10 years and then I met you and we started dating, I'm like,
Yeah, they're still gonna
you know
be
what I'm
your
saying?
friend.
I get,
I mean, even if it's been for 2-3 years, you know what I'm
but
saying?
you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
even if I get it, I get the uncomfortability if we're together and then I meet them after I've met you and now I have this person who wants to be. I understand why you would feel that way, but I'm like, for anybody else, if I was going to sleep with him, I would have done it by now.
Right. And
you know what I'm saying?
And to give a little bit more feedback on this question too, Daryl, when you guys got married, you were also very young. So that's a very common thing for very young people to decide to do. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was very young and if like, let's say if I was still with my high school sweetheart and she didn't want me at that point in time, didn't want me talking to no girls, I would have absolutely not talked to any girl, you know? I mean, even recently, like the one a few years ago, I mean, she didn't really want me to, but she was so like, if she's seen it, she would like, who's this? Who's this? Who's this? So I would intentionally never talk to any other girl. But you talk to them. I'm not even working here.
To
You
this
talk
day,
to this guy.
I don't even like I barely like pictures on Instagram because
yeah, that's another thing.
To this day, I barely do that because of that.
That's another thing when it comes to respect.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that isn't controlling. You do have to change that. As a guy, none of us are perfect, especially as male, the male species. Like nobody's perfect. Try and get closer to God, and that'll take you further away from all those bikini and booty and all that extracurricular stuff.
I just meant regular pictures, not those kind of pictures.
Oh, well,
I just meant regular ones.
We talk about those ones too.
Yeah, I'm just talking.
We talk about the one. We talk about the ones that the girls actually care about. Yeah. Why are you liking that girl? Her booty's out. Yeah, she had a nice bathing suit.
Like I like the color. I've actually been to the beach that she was at, and I'm a fan of the beach.
The closer
get
it. That too, yeah, right. Whatever excuse you got in the book. But the closer you get to God, the easier it is to get away from liking that artificial stuff. The stuff that the human body wants isn't the same stuff that your spirit wants. So once you start to understand that and you start to dive into and learn more about Jesus and improve that relationship with him, you will start to find yourself getting away from those things that your physical body thinks you want. So I don't drink anymore. I don't even need to have sex anymore. Just literally. And you would have talked to me 3 years ago. You'd be like, yeah, that will never happen to this guy. And now look at us.
Now look at us.
Here we are.
But yeah, so just a few kind of final things on this, ladies, especially for men who are controlling. It's okay to like a man that takes control, but it's not okay to be with a man who is controlling. And recognize
that's bars right there.
You like that one?
Yeah, no, you gotta say that again. That's bars. Somebody write that down. Write that down.
Yes, ladies, remember, it is okay to like a man who takes control, but it's not okay to like a man who is controlling. Understand what the difference is. One is for your well-being, one isn't.
Exactly, 100%. That's the biggest difference. One is for your well-being.
There we go. Ayana Van Zant, she had a quote: "Nobody who tries to control and dominate you is interested in your well-being." So understand, if somebody's trying to make decisions for you, is this something that genuinely helps me? Is this something that is keeping me safe? Is this something that is going to create a better space for us? Or is this their ego tripping right now? And that when you have that conversation with yourself, you'll be able to make a determination about where you need to go from there. And if you need to run, I always recommend running and getting out there as soon as possible, because the longer you stay in these things, you end up doing stupid stuff like having kids with a controlling person and then staying at home. And then suddenly it's a lot harder to leave after that. So leave early when it's needed, and get out.
100%. So yeah, definitely agree with you on that. That was our deal of the day. We added it to the end on purpose.
On purpose.
But yeah, and I know we say that, guys are the only ones that can be controlling. Women can be
Oh
controlling
no,
too.
no, no, no,
You
no,
know what I'm
girl,
saying?
absolutely. Like, hold on, let's not, they absolutely can,
Women
absolutely.
can be controlling too. So once you see the tendencies of these things, you have to understand, like, especially this red flag in particular,
Yeah,
there is nothing good that comes out of it. Just like you said on that quote earlier, if somebody is controlling, they do not care about
yeah.
your well-being at
This
all.
is one of the most dangerous ones.
It definitely can be.
Yeah,
And when I was hearing the situation that I shared with you guys, like the cops were like, literally, you're very lucky to even be alive,
yeah,
because if this could have went on any longer and then you started to be forceful back,
yeah,
it could have ended with you dying
exactly.
as a little girl. And there's multiple situations. If you guys just do research, there's a lot of stories on Netflix. There's multiple situations of guys being controlling where it can lead in to the female's death. So
Right,
it's very
exactly.
important that you protect your space and protect yourself, so that way you are not another statistic out of a guy who went crazy for being too controlling.
Yeah,
That's all that I gotta say. Protect yourself. This is a non-negotiable red flag. This isn't one that you can be like, yeah, we can work on fixing it.
no.
No, there's plenty of fish in the sea. I promise you that. Get up out of there once you
Mhm.
see these situations. And fellas, work on yourself. If you find yourself being this controlling guy,
Yeah,
this
stop being a loser.
stop being a weirdo. Stop being a effing weirdo.
just
All
real
right.
simple. And just real quick for those gentlemen who do have control issues, it's one of those things like we always talk about. Find it within yourself. Maybe you had an issue where you were never able to control anything as a kid. Maybe you never got to
Mm-hmm.
make your own decisions, and this makes you feel good, makes you feel like more of a man. I
Yeah. Or
promise you,
maybe your high school sweetheart left you for your best friend. You know what I'm saying? And
because he
you,
was
you
more
could
manly than you or something. So you just start being mean to women. I don't know
yeah,
what's
a
up with
situation you couldn't control. And now you
it.
try and control everything. So
Right.
figure out what those situations are and sit with them and heal and go to therapy.
And get it
If
together.
you are like a little too controlling
Yeah.
and multiple people tell you that, yeah,
Yeah.
go to therapy, talk about it, get some help, because nobody likes that. You're just gonna keep pushing the
You might get
girls.
smacked out here, man.
You're
I don't
gonna get
know.
smacked, shot, something. The girls you like are gonna keep getting pushed away from you. So
Right.
that's all we got. If you guys find value, entertainment, whatever it may be, all the 3, 4 things that Cleon says, like, comment, and share. Thank you for following our pages at Real Deal Convos on TikTok and Instagram.
And
Sharing
Facebook. Oh wait,
and
no, this is yours.
oh, this is my
Yeah.
actual Facebook account under Brandon Haley.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us on the lives. Thank you for being a part of this journey as we continue to grow day by day. God bless you. And yes, sir, Daryl. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.